Hello, Fightful Faithful. Welcome to another episode of the NXT post show thing. It's no longer an
It's
after
your
party because, like
Tuesday night.
that implies some kind of good thing has happened, and like, oh, we don't want the fun to stop. Let's go to the after party. There's nothing going on right now. I mean,
Alex, it's the Tuesday night post show. That part is good. It's your NXT Sour Grapes post show for October 15th. We are in the CW era. This was an extra weird one. There was stuff.
it was
Normally, we're like, the backstages are bad and the booking is weird and bad. But tonight, there was some quirky things that aren't normally bad. So we're going to get into all of that and more. So please send in your super chats. Please send in your humper chats. I won't at all be distracted by the ALCS. And I won't at all be shoehorning in the fact that Zack Sabre Jr. is your new IWGP Heavyweight Champion. I will never.
You wouldn't dream of it.
Never, Alex. I would never.
No.
Didn't do that last night at all. That's for sure.
No, you did not. If last night was any indication, you will not mention Zack Sabre Jr. being the new IWGP Heavyweight Champion more than 100 times.
Oh, is he? I didn't even know. I didn't even know that happened. When did that happen? I wasn't staying up weird hours to watch wrestling at all.
No, we're not doing Tekker puns. I don't even know how you would even do that. We already did technology puns, and it honestly was kind of a bust.
Guys, just send in super chats and humper chats that just say ZSJ with heart emojis. That's it.
Here's you know what? Because there's so many gall-darn commercials on episodes of NXT now. Products and services. Things you would see advertised on television puns.
Products and services.
Products and services. Products and services puns. Things you might see advertised on a television show. There you go.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
That's what we're doing.
Hey, not advertised on tonight's television show was stuff that was really good. Unfortunately, that was not on tonight's show. Some uncharacteristically weird stuff, I would say, too. There was some in-ring that didn't hit. That's not normally our complaint, and that's something that even in criticism I tend to personally go lighter on. Right. Because who the hell am I, right? Like, I'm not one to say, but like, it is a part of our job to be able to analyze that, right? Like some things that were just off ring-wise today. And then, we've talked about the flow of Raw not being good because it's 2 hours instead of 3.
Right.
And the 2 weeks ago was the first week they'd ever done it. And yesterday was the taped one.
Yeah.
So, but there was some weird commercial stuff going on too. And I know that we're in the CW era now, but I didn't feel like we had that the past couple weeks. So just a weird flow tonight, just kind of an awkward episode. Normally we're like cranky about booking, and we should be. It's not a well-booked show, but like this was off in a different way than it's normally off, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Wasn't great.
No. It does feel like they're trying to figure out what the new era of NXT on the C-Dub is going to be. They're also picking right now to try out some really weird ideas. like Honorable doesn't want to cheat Lexis King just cuz, and is a weird thing to like just, hey, you know what everybody's been clamoring for? That babyface run from the douchebag we all hate. That's a thing everyone's been writing in letters saying, when can I root for this Lexis King? He seems like such a nice boy. Nobody's done that, so it's weird that they're insisting on it.
Well, and they've told us, right, that he is someone who hates the bee-boops music and likes to hit on gals, aggressively and weirdly. So, in their own world of what they told us, this is out of nowhere and makes no sense. But so often with NXT and so often with wrestling, I feel like in general, the temptation to do too much is just something they can't resist. Like, you have these new exciting debuts, you're riding new champions, you have this wave of new energy from being on the C-Dub. And then, like, they over-engineer the booking so much, especially on this show, but kind of in general, that I'm like, man. You know, it was funny. I was at my commentary gig at Excite this weekend, and there was a main event with Santana, and he was great, but the title match was on before, and it was just a smaller size baby face and a big ass heel and some hope spots and some wrestling, and I was like, God, the simplest stuff works in the world. There was not a huge crowd. It was at a roller rink, but at the same time, it was like every single one of them was biting on the hope spots because the match was laid out logically, and you had a heel doing heel stuff and a face doing face stuff, and it was so clean. It was like my favorite match of the night because it was just two guys who were good at their job in their roles in a match that made sense. And oh God, sometimes that's all it takes. And it's so rare that we get that in general, I feel like now, but like particularly on NXT. And today was convoluted. Today was weird. But Aaron Judge got to hit a home run, so everything's okay.
Oh, good.
He did a thing.
I'm very happy for you.
You should be.
So also, it's also a weird time of upheaval. We've Oba Femi was unbeatable.
Yes.
He was as he called himself, the mountain that no man can climb, and he was that for the better part of a year. And it did feel very much to me like after the first loss by Tony D'Angelo, they decided to do a 4-month storyline in one night.
Yes.
And then they were like, well, he gets the rematch and he wins. And my thought was, because they either have a major plan for Oba to move up the card in NXT, or they're going to call him up. And they may still do that because they're doing a thing that whatever. But none of it. It felt. I feel like a lot of people felt like we understand the ride that we're on. If you stand outside like in the amusement park, and you stand in line for the roller coaster and you watch the roller coaster do its track, and you finally get in the car, you expect the roller coaster to do the same thing you've been watching this whole time.
Sure.
And not just jump the track onto a different roller coaster that you haven't been studying. You know what I mean? And so to me, that's why it feels different, is because I felt like we all recognized what this was and we were going for it. And now with the jump to CW, it feels like it's slightly different. I'm not sure exactly who's making the call to make it different, but also the product that we are watching, the television show, is just, it feels paced so terribly. So it just doesn't feel, at least the Rainbow era of NXT had stupid stuff we could make fun of. This is just boring. A lot of it's just boring. So,
well, and Alex, like one distinction I always make, when I feel like wrestling is, whether it's my taste or not, there's something very visible when you've watched enough hours of the shit, and we have, right? There's like this very big distinction between I don't know where they're going with something and they don't know where they're going with something. And it feels like in the CW era, like they don't know where they're going just it's because they're like in this reboot phase. Like I think they're just literally still figuring out what this transition might look like, what they're attempting to do. But we'll get into all of it. Get in your super chats and your humper chats. Please leave a thumbs up on this video. Yeah. The Yankees are feigning to be good, and Zack Sabre Jr. is your champion. So.
C. Delgado 6 says, Kate, my son had to do a slideshow to introduce himself to his class in Japan. It included a photo with the new IWGP Heavyweight Champion taken right after the infamous ankle lock match.
That's one of my favorite stories. I think we told that behind the paywall, so I'll quickly recap it here. But to my knowledge, the story is just our wonderful super chatter who just chatted at us, C. Delgado. His son yelled at Zack Sabre Jr. to do an ankle lock in the middle of a match, and he said, "All right," and then did one. Then they got a picture after the match because the SJ rules, and he can just do that and chooses to.
That's
so.
Great.
That's awesome. I hope he has a safe and wonderful time in Japan. It's so on the bucket list of places I want to go.
Jada Pringle says, "Amazing Alex, Killer Kate, proud Papa Paul, Elizabeth, sisters, Louise, and all the SGS. Now we are back to the weird NXT we know and scratch our heads at." Yeah, it is weird, that's for sure. And then your dad responds, "Greetings, SGS from the chilly Northeast. Let's have a great night, even if everything else sucks. Shout out to the man, JW Pringle. Team Kalex is the GOAT. Also, Yankees up 4-2 versus the Guardians in the bottom of the 7th. Okay, Yankees 6, Guardians 2. That's a good update. All right, thank you. Good. Very good. Glad.
Hi, Dad.
Okay.
I would like to know if my dad is in the chat. He doesn't even have to super chat this, but his softball team is in quite a stretch right now. They have 3 winnable games coming down the home stretch to see if they make the postseason. So I don't know what happened in their game yesterday. I would like to. So let me know, Dad.
Ryan Cicchini says, the last 2 weeks were too normal. I kind of missed the throw mud at the wall and see what sticks era, LOL. It doesn't feel much like that. It feels like they're not seeing what sticks. They have ideas. They have firm ideas, and they are bad ones. And so that is what I'm worried about. One of the things we got here is Tony D'Angelo comes out for his celebration, which is just him seated at a bistro table with a glass of wine, and all of his buddies are in the ring, his family, but they're not lit. So I didn't know they were there until like Luca kind of stepped into the light. But he said, I want to raise a toast to Oba Femi, who is the longest reigning and North American champion. By the way, as soon as they were like, he has now surpassed Wesley. He's the longest North American champion. I was like, oh, they're definitely taking the title off of him now.
It was time, yeah.
it was according to them, as soon as they break the record, it's time for you to lose it. But he says that I baited you into thinking I was broken. I had you right where I wanted you when you kicked out of that giant move I did to you and then picked me up for a choke slam. I had you right where I wanted you, which was the only part of this I was like, maybe not.
Yeah.
It was a really well reversed move that he rolled him up with, a victory roll, but I don't think you had him where you wanted him, but that's fine. Oba Femi comes out and he says, you got me, Tony. I have to hand it to you. You got me. But the next time you will not. And this time none of your friends will be able to help you. And I'm like, oh, is it going to be a cage match? Is that what he means? Like it'll be just like, or whatever. But then after he does this, he leaves and he walks up to the wheel, spin the wheel, make the deal, and he spins the wheel and the deal is made. And it's a tables, ladders, and scares match, during which it is not at all illegal for Stax and Luca to hit this man with clubs. Like the fact that he says they will not be able to help you means he is planning within the next, week and a half to systematically destroy both Stax and Luca so that they cannot help, which is funny because later in the night we see Luca place himself into the mouth of the lion voluntarily. It's not like Oba calls him out and Luca says, I gotta do this for the family. Luca's like, next week, Tony, I'm gonna take him out for you. And that's not gonna happen. I just don't know how Stax figures into it because there's only one more episode of NXT.
Correct.
So here's the deal with this. I was honestly, I made my peace with Oba losing once. I cannot make my peace with him losing twice back to back. Also, something that I am not okay with is somehow Tony D'Angelo having a 3-week NXT North American title reign and the belt going back to Oba Femi, because that's not okay with me either on the Tony D side. So any way this shakes out, I'm not cool with. Ryan Cicchini saying the Oba doing this rematch so soon after he lost the title feels like he loses that and gets an immediate call up. And I'm like, fine, but like early November? Is there a team that needs a fourth guy for a Survivor Series match? Oh wait, they don't do those anymore. So like I don't know what he does now. It's not the right time. If this was in December, I'd say fine. He debuts in the Royal Rumble. October into November feels very weird.
There may be a kind of marriage of those options of this is his goodbye to NXT, but let's keep in mind, as great as he is, still very new at this. So they might want him for the main roster, but there might still be like, before you debut on the main roster, we're going to take you out of NXT because we want to keep you protected or whatever. Yeah. And still do work off screen to make sure that your WWE roster debut is perfect.
I could see that.
Because it's crazy how good he is and how new he is at this. Mm-hmm. Like we said that with Braun Breaker, but this is a different level because, in my opinion, like Braun Breaker, it was like what an incredible athlete, and that's the best spear I've ever seen, and blah blah blah. Oba Femi is great at every part of this already, which is wild considering how young he is at it. So, crazy stuff. That was just me thinking out loud, but you're right in that there's not like a great option out of that. But I'm also just like a sucker for Halloween Havoc. So
yeah, Louisville, I want to help you with this. So confused on what the puns are because there are so many commercials. Things you might see advertised on television, i.e., products and/or services. So I just say commercials, I guess. Stuff that you buy or stuff that you pay people to do for you. You know what I mean?
Let's give the kids an example. Like this right here.
Yeah.
Nation of Domination Wide is on your side. Is incredible. There you go. That's incredible.
Yeah. If you want to narrow it down to like commercial slogans with a wrestling pun in it, I'm cool with that too. Anything, listen, we got Lieutenant Colonel Photo says every kiss begins with kayfabe.
Perfect. Beautiful.
That's great. That's
Love
wonderful. C. Delgado, not necessarily my favorite, but Wheatley, so good. I drink it. Yeatly.
Objectively, that's a great pun.
It is.
Shout out to my dad. I'm sorry that you lost yesterday. They lost 9-8. It was such a great week for the Hensler household. The kayfabe household.
Right. So Oba Femi won't get pinned because it's a ladder match. A tables, ladders, and stairs match means the belt will be hung above the ring. But crucially, they did not say that because somebody says backstage, what even is a tables, ladders, and stairs match? It's a match where anything goes. No, it's a ladder match. I mean, honestly, in a ladder match, all the other stuff is also legal. So it's a ladder match, but there will be chairs and tables and stuff. So,
well, I feel like that's implied by the fact that the word ladders is in it.
Right. I mean,
I think he was saying the scares part.
Right.
But what he should really be saying is, what the hell is the coal miner's glove match? Because we still don't know.
We still don't know.
Decades of this, I tell you.
Luis has an idea for what Oba Femi will be doing when he gets to the main roster. He says, Jey Uso, get ready to learn couch throw bumping, buddy. Now that I wouldn't mind at all if we got him.
Honestly, Yeet versus Yeet, where Oba Femi wins.
Yeah.
Oh, all day. Yeah. If he wins the Intercontinental title by yeeting the Yeet guy.
Yeah. I'm fine with that. Jay, sorry. So yes, we will see what all happens with this, but I'm not really super happy about Oba just dipping back in there. I guess a rematch doesn't hurt anything, but
I mean, if we get back
We'll
to
see.
the NXT we know and love, someone will properly break into the cage and cost over Trick Williams will for some reason.
Sure, for some reason. Yeah, there you go. So they are now. Mike Rome is announcing her this way. They are calling her this on commentary. Vaquer.
Vaquer is what we're going with for now until they say otherwise.
NXT is going with Vaquer across the board. They're not like half the people are saying Vaquer, so half the people are saying Vaquer. We're not doing that. Even Booker T is not trying to figure out a way to squeeze a Q sound in there. Vaquer or something. He's not doing that. So we're it's fine.
Let me tell you something. I love this the Steph is gonna be what we get real soon.
This Stephanie V, she is the greatest. She is. She's amazing. And Wren Sinclair made her look like $1 trillion. It was a really good match. It was a really good match for Stephanie to have first. I prefer her to Julia, like just as a wrestler and aesthetics. So I don't know how the whole thing shakes out. Simply because she showed up second. And they immediately were like, Julia gets a title match. It does feel like she is at least 1A, if not 2, in the pecking order of the ladies who are coming.
Yes. Yeah.
But it
especially with what gets set up here. Like
right. Yeah, so she wins with a underhook package backbreaker thing. Looks very vicious. Ren Sinclair sells it well, and she gets the pinfall, and then in run Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez. This is their only appearance tonight. They do not get mic time, not even backstage, which again just adds to the weirdness effect of this whole thing. Cora Jade just got back. She aligned herself with the current champion now for several months. And they used to be rivals, and now they're friends again. Anytime you get them with the mics in their hands at the same time helps to reestablish them as a duo. And they didn't get any of that tonight, which again just feels like a bad use of time. But they attack Stephanie Vaquer in the ring, and Julia makes the save. And they beat up the bad guys, bad ladies, the gals, who try to regroup on the outside as Stephanie Vaquer says, you two versus us two, Halloween Havoc. And I was like, should have seen that coming. Of course, just do it Halloween Havoc. Why not?
Sure.
So that will be something to behold. We'll see what shakes out of that, but I feel like we know exactly what happens in another thing that we will see between Julia and Stephanie next week, and that is not something I'm super looking forward to. But I want to talk about this right now. We got another vignette for Delta coming in. She'll be here at Halloween Havoc. It is kind of crazy that Julia, Steph, and Delta are debuting on the program all within a month of each other.
Yes.
That's a crazy, like, that you add all that you add a big 3 to the team. And we will see. We watched tonight some people who are on the short list of people who will wind up trying to be number 4.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Once Rock, I don't count Roxanne because I feel like this is her last hurrah before she moves up. But I'm like, over the next 8 months, somebody's got to shake out in there underneath. And there are a lot of women who, frankly, I don't feel like have whatever it is they need to be able to hang. And we'll see.
There's a few things about this. First of all, the mesh was really, really good. One thing that I think has gotten better under the quote unquote new era, both at NXT and WWE entirely, is I think you can be funny and other things. Like, I think Chelsea Green gets to be dumpster humor aside. I think for the most part, Chelsea Green gets to be funny, and when she wrestles, she gets to be a good wrestler. For a really long time under Vince, it was if you're funny, that's the only dimension you have. Yeah. Wren Sinclair getting to show out in the ring tonight. Like, I feel like, I don't know why. I was just assuming Stephanie was going to be great. I've seen enough of Steph's work to know that she was going to nail her debut. Yeah. It was cool getting to see Wren get to show up a little bit. I really liked that piece of it. So, that part was really, really neat to me too. Kudos to both of them. This was my favorite thing, I think, on the show. So, doesn't say a lot about the rest of the... It's always a bummer when the opener is your favorite thing, because that means the rest of the show was not as good as the first thing you saw. But for a good reason. This was a really, really great establishing match for Steph. Knowing how much you love Rhea Ripley, I'm intrigued to see if Steph ends up being your favorite after you get to see a little more of Delta than you've seen.
But I'm just talking between Julia and Steph.
That's what I mean, though, is like it's very cool that all three of these women are debuting in a month of each other, to your point, and all three are very, very different. But to your other point, they're also very complete wrestlers. Like, very complete wrestlers. Yeah. And Delta can promo, too. And so when we've talked kind of consistently about what the rest of that pecking order is going to look like, it's fine if you're not a complete wrestler and developmental, but this is going to push some people down as opposed to up in the beginning. But getting to work with women like this is going to raise the entire tide, is the thinking, right? So, I am, as a women's wrestling enthusiast, extremely excited about what's going to happen work rate wise here. They have to, even if the booking remains stupid, the match times are going to be something that I think it's pushed into being longer, and I think that's where we're running into some pacing issues. I think they know that you can't do like 4 minutes and a screwed up finish. Like, you can't do that right now. The work rate's too high with these women coming in. We want to see them wrestle. So, great opening match. Very excited about what Steph is going to do for the future. And I kind of like this idea that we have this double mega powers fight of, like, you got like Cora and Roxanne, who it feels like they could both be champions, and you have Julia and Steph, and it
not
feels
anymore.
Like yeah.
That's the thing. Like, they got, like, Roxanne's great, and Roxanne had her time in NXT. She was fairly healthy through the whole thing, except for the dumb fake, like, I had a heart attack because anxiety bullshit they did. But, like, so she had her time, and she had a really great run. I feel like they messed with her after that weird thing where she lost the title when she didn't even lose the title. But, like, she's shown what she can do, both as a face and a heel. She's ready now to be on the main roster.
Agreed.
If they could screw her up entirely once she gets there, that's certainly possible, but she's done her thing. Cora's been lapped. Like, there's like, she ain't catching up. She's not catching up to the two that are already there, the third that's coming in, and with the report from Fightful Select, Jordan Grace might be coming in too. I think Jordan Grace is a clean shot to the main roster, but
I agree.
She should not spend a day in NXT. She should have a clean shot right to the main roster, debut her in the Rumble, have her eliminate 12 women, like,
show up as a force.
People. Yeah, like, that's what you should do with her. But that's certainly possible that she spends time in NXT too. I would not put it past them. And if she does, well, then everybody else is further down the pecking order.
And this is going to be something that's interesting too, because Cora was very over. I'm intrigued to see what happens when people are not Performance Center over. Trick is over everywhere he goes. There's going to be some people that were over in the Performance Center that are not as over on the road. And I think it's a really, really good thing that they're touring, so that doesn't... Because, Alex, Von Wagner, God bless him, and I I don't like being negative about talent. I like being negative about creative when it's called for.
Sure.
Von Wagner was not good at anything to do with wrestling. He just wasn't. He was good at eating people, but he was not good at anything to do with wrestling. But when a crowd goes in on it for themselves, somebody gets Performance Center over, or that happened in ROH when ROH was taped in one place. There are people that just get over for the sake of being over. Yeah. Von Wagner would not have been over if they were on the road. No. I really don't think so. So I think it's a healthier test of where someone is at barometer-wise, and I think that's really good.
And it's, I don't know, man. I think Von Wagner started out with the weird thing where, like, the worst kids in your high school all band together and as a joke vote for a certain girl for homecoming queen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And because they think it's funny, and then they get all the other kids to also think it's funny, and that's what Von Wagner getting over felt like to me.
Sure.
Like, no, they weren't. He wasn't actually over. They were doing it because it was a gag. And like that's not going to help him. That's why it's so important, as I agree, for them to branch out more and more. Yes. Because when you're doing it to the same 300 stooges every week, they're all there like pop themselves with their own chants and stuff.
Sure,
that kind of stuff is going to happen. So
for sure.
Sophie says most of the in-ring tonight wasn't good, but Stephanie and Wren were great. Fantastic way to show them both off. Yes. Wren, I think, is the thing where like you need to do more work with her. She's already working really great with the character, but more and more ring time and everything. Get us accustomed to her. Let her have a North American title reign before she gets called up, whenever that is.
Agreed.
Now you got 2 titles for the women to play with. More of them should have title reigns before they get called up. Too many women went through NXT for the longest time and got called to the main roster and probably should have had a title belt around their waist at one time in NXT, and there just wasn't enough time with only one title. Now you have an opportunity for her to do that. And Meet Norma says Steph and Wren was good. Everything else sucked. So speaking of things sucking, Ashanti Adonis had a segment backstage with Brinley, Reese, and Carmen Petrovic, and thank God for the lower third chyron that comes up when Brinley, Reese, and Carmen Petrovic are standing there, because how else would I be able to tell them from the other 17 blondes in the shot? I believe it was Carly Bright and Kendall Gray, I think is who they were, behind them, and they're just the same. They're carbon copies of each other. But so it didn't look like they were trying to let you know, yes, we have a lot of blonde ladies. When Ashanti the Adonis showed up, they also gave him a lower third graphic that said Ashanti the Adonis. And he came in and was like, I just wanted to apologize for costing you your tag match last week. And Carmen's like, oh, and he goes, Brinley. So like, he apologized to Brinley, but not Carmen.
Yes.
And he brought in a rose. And he was trying to chat up Brinley, and then in walks the Beej and his mentor with a sling. And it's just the way that they're playing Sean Spears right now, it does feel like he's Professor X from the X-Men, but with a lot less traumatic injury that he's dealing with. As opposed to being a paraplegic in a wheelchair, he's just got one arm in a sling. But he's the same basic guy. It's like, I don't know, Brooks. What shall we do now? Please listen to my guidance. Come to me, my X-Men. But don't pat me on the back too hard over here, because that would hurt. Anyway, is that how you speak to women? And then Brooks takes the rose and crushes it, drops the petals and everything, and they got a match that's made for later. And then at the end of the shot, we see Carmen Petrovic kneeling beside the rose petals and picking them up and gazing longingly at the petals. And so he's negging her.
Yes,
he is attempting to. He is showing her that he's not interested, so that she will be more interested in him. Or it's not that, and she is smarter than there are. Okay, so I'm going to skip to the terrible thing that happens later. When they actually have they have what happens here? Their match. Brooks Jensen and Ashanti the Adonis have their match, and Carmen gets involved. And I will tell all of that story after you give your thoughts about this so far.
We've mentioned our friend Tape Machine on X. I'm subscribed to his newsletter. He called Carmen Petrovic Karate Iggy Azalea, and I fell out of my chair.
Oh, no, that's not who that is. That's Nikita Lyons.
That's Nikita Lyons. I'm sorry.
Nikita Lyons is Karate Iggy. Now, there are two different karate blondes, but one of them is definitely Iggy Azalea.
One is the other.
It's not Carmen Petrovic.
So here's what happened. Now I'm remembering why I wrote this down. Tape said two things that made me fall off my chair, and the first one was the thing that you messaged me, which was that an I can change him angle might work with someone who has a sword.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is fair. Yeah. I had the same thought about how they were like, we have to label the blondes, or no one will know who they are. And then when I saw the Ashanti the Adonis third come up, I was like, well, and we have to label our Adonises because we need them to know he's the Adonis and not just any old Adonis.
No, we need to label our Ashantis. He's Ashanti the Adonis. There's another Ashanti the other guy, but there's Ashanti the Adonis and Ashanti the other guy.
The musician,
so
yeah.
Yeah.
I actually this was a little bit better than the gimmick when it came down. Like a heel that's negging that's like an appropriate type of sleazy shitty heel to me.
Yeah, sure.
Like it's not overly aggressive to the point where it makes you super uncomfortable, and it's not like, hey girl, as much, which is kind of like it started comedically sleazy. He's kind of found a rhythm with it. It's not like my favorite thing in the world. I'm kind of exhausted on high school love angles from this particular promotion, but I'm always rooting for Ashanti the Adonis, to be honest. And this at least kind of found the sweet spot of being cartoonish and like aggressive. This is a little bit better.
Yeah. So Brooks and Ashanti are having a match, and out walks Carmen Petrovic. She takes a wild kick at Sean Spears, who like backs away and gets out of her way, and then she dumps all the pedals that she picked up off the floor on the apron, which distracts Ashanti the Adonis. The official WWE Twitter account says, ooh, and like eyes emoji or whatever, something like that. Carmen Petrovic knows exactly how to light a fire under Ashanti the Adonis. And I'm like, he lost. She distracted him and he lost. Light a fire. If he had won the match, I'd agree with your tweet, official WWE Twitter account. But I don't feel like she lit a fire under him. She caused him to like be distracted, to be off of his game, and he lost to Brooks Jensen, to the Beach, who then does this weird thing with spittle all over his lips, where he like finds the camera during the pin and then rolls off of him slowly while still looking at the camera with a lot of spittle on his lips. It's very weird. I don't think they've done enough really to like make the Beach into his own character. His relationship with Spears is still muddy. I don't feel like you can insert him into another story. Like,
that's
because
fair.
His character demands his own story, siloed off from everybody else. He can't just be like an ancillary character in the Ashanti the Adonis story, because he's a really weird dude. You know what I mean? Like, you can't do a lot of that. But so after Ashanti the Adonis loses, he crawls over to the pedals and is picking them up, and also Carmen at the top of the ramp has a bunch of them too, and she's standing with like her hip cocked out to the side, and she's being all sexy with the pedals she's got, And I'm like, this has to turn out that she is manipulating him and then will stab him in the back, because
with a sword.
Not literally,
I
but
think
like
it should be literal.
She'll get him to fall for her, and then she will rebuff him to teach him a lesson, right?
Yes.
That has to be the thing they're doing, because if she's like, oh, this guy was hits on everybody, but then he didn't really give me the kind of attention I wanted. I mean, I didn't really want it at first, but now I really want it. I'm going to have to make him love me. If that's the story you're doing, you can fuck right off. I don't want to see it. None of it. Don't do any of that.
Yeah, no, that's gross, and just like a bad message to send to women.
Yes.
But there's a couple things that are really bad about this, and a couple things that I'm foolishly optimistic about. The first is, yes, it feels like both our dear Double Vest and the Beach, they just didn't follow through on the momentum that was created. Like, there was a point where that stuff was like pretty white hot, and it just kind of lost its way, and you kind of can't lose as a show. I don't think he's lost his way with the character, but you kind of can't lose sight of that character on your show, because the whole thing is they're messing everything up, right? So yes, the relationship with Shawn Spears is still muddy. They need to clarify that relationship, because I think it's choking the oxygen out of the angle. And it was an angle I was actually pretty excited about, more than most, I think. And the Carmen Petrovic Ashanti stuff, Carmen is someone that I think has a really bright future, and we've kind of talked about, like, sometimes you see someone's growth and stuff just like clicks in, and we're sort of waiting for that moment. I do feel like it's important that they give her layers and a character, because so far she's just been badass with bright potential in her moveset, woman with the sword. So giving her like a story, I think, is not only good as like a test for her, but sometimes that helps people click in the ring, because they understand why they're doing the things they're doing. So I'm optimistic about that. These kind of angles aren't for me, so even when it's well executed, it's not something I'm necessarily going to like, but I can appreciate its place in wrestling. It's just not my favorite way to go about things.
Tom in the chat saying, what does Carmen get out of it? Well, she could be just teaching him a lesson that, like,
well, let me clarify. When you learn you can control men, you've won. So what does Carmen get out of it? The satisfaction that she can control men. That's wonderful.
Yeah, what right. With because it's all kayfabe, with no fear of a dude losing his mind and you getting some kind of reprisals, like leading a douchebag on at the bar who won't leave you and your friend alone by coming on to him and saying, okay, well, here's my number and I'll meet you at this hotel, and then never showing up. Like, that's a thing that you could do to, like, screw with him. And because it's a storyline on a wrestling show, there's no chance of him finding out where you actually live and trying to break into your house, like dudes do sometimes when they lose their minds. We are all
living vicariously through that idea. On this side of the coin, let me just say.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God, this gentleman's duel.
When you just clutch your hair that doesn't exist, and you just clutch your hat.
I mean, like, this is as close as I can get to pulling my hair out, Kate. Because there's none under the hat, and all I can do is just grab the hat. Again, something I desperately need to know. I need a show of hands from the entire NXT universe. Who was clamoring for this honorable babyface run from Lexis King, the dude with the beard.
Not his barber.
The rules of such thing were on screen for a second, and I made Luis find them and send them to me.
Guys, Luis, as far as moderating goes, by the way, he's like moderating himself. He said something and was like, that was harsh. You don't have to moderate yourself, Luis. You're the GOAT. He's so much more than a moderator. He's our historian, our researcher. Right. He's everything. Right.
So, the rules of a gentleman's duel match. These things result in an immediate disqualification. Striking an opponent when they have 4 points of contact on the ground, meaning if they are down and you stomp on them, if they are on all fours and you kick them in the belly, you cannot hit them with a double axe handle while they're trying to get back up from the ground. If you do that, you will be disqualified. If you throw your opponent over the top rope, you do not win the Royal Rumble. You will lose this match. There is a 3 count for the rope break instead of 5. There is no leeway. If the ref gets to 3, you are disqualified. Also, if you fight at ringside, if anybody fights at ringside, you are disqualified. These are the rules of this gentleman's duel. Okay? And by the way, this gentleman's duel is come about because Lexis King was the heeliest of all heels. When I say he was the heeliest, I mean he was the most like those shoes that people wore 20 years ago with the with the wheels inside the heels.
Of course.
He was the heeliest of all heels, and then he decided midway through a match with Ora Mensah that they were having because Lexis King said horrible insults about Ora Mensah's father to his face. He decided he wasn't going to win like that. Winning like that, of course, being putting his feet on the ropes to score a leverage pin. And then Ora Mensah beat him with the same move that he refused to do. So, Lexis King sought advice from the only place you could get such advice about how to be a straight shooter who would never, ever be a bad dude. He talks to CM Punk, who says you got to find that good guy within you, and you want to be an honorable dude, then that's where you were going to be. You just got to take the path away from the bad stuff. And then he goes to Charlie Dempsey, who's got a new mustache. It's kind of unnerving to look at. And he says, are there any weird rules for some kind of match? Since you're the guy who knows all the match styles, he's like, yeah, there's some kind of gentleman's duel match. It's got rules. Okay, good. Let's do that match with Ora Mensah. And so we got this match now. And during the match, on commentary, Booker T again, just slurping noises over Lexis King. And gradually Vic Joseph has to like begrudgingly agree with Booker T that he is indeed the one true television star and might actually be a good guy. And he ends up winning the match with like a back bridge pin. Like it looks like a move that your favorite Zack Sabre Jr. might do to somebody to score a pinfall, except like slowed down to 1/4 speed. That's what the finish of this match looks like. Through the whole match, Lexis King is baiting Ora Mensah into kicking him while he's on all fours. He keeps getting down to all fours, hoping that Ora Mensah will stomp on him, and if he does, then Ora Mensah is disqualified. At one point, Lexis King almost throws Ora Mensah over the top rope, but then grabs him and pulls him back into the ring, because had he fallen to the floor, he would have been disqualified. They're doing all of this ridiculous stuff to like prove the point that this is how hard Brian Pillman Jr. is willing to work to make sure that he is nothing like the last 18 months of Brian Pillman Sr.'s career.
Yeah. So I always am happy when wrestling promotions try something they haven't done before. So that is the nicest thing I can say about this whole segment. I do appreciate that. Everybody in this chat knows that I am a square and I love matches with rules. Mm-hmm. And rules are there for the testing and the breaking, right? When you have two faces and a set of specific rules, mm-hmm. it doesn't quite work. Because there was nobody got away with one behind the ref's back. Nobody really successfully fully baited anybody into anything properly. So when it's two guys, I don't know. I mean, I wasn't expecting. It never felt like the struggle was. Brian Pillman Jr. never had to choose between being the bad guy and the good guy, really. I that was not conveyed to me. Him almost throwing him over the top rope wasn't because he was doing so viciously. It was like a lapse in judgment forgetting the rules. So, if that's what they were going for, I feel like it missed the mark. The in-ring was just, unfortunately, a little bit uncharacteristically rough on this match as well. Regardless of the rules, it just weird chemistry or whatever. It just didn't really click in. Mm-hmm. But it didn't feel like they knew which story they were telling me. Because I did not find it to be that Brian Pillman Jr. was choosing between right and wrong. It felt like he forgot the rules sometimes and then remembered them. Does that make sense? That felt very rambly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And to your point, crucially, Zack Sabre Jr. very quick with these kind of moves.
Right. Yeah.
This did not. Yeah. This ending was just kind of unfortunately didn't work.
No, it tried to be like, oh, look at him do this thing, and then afterwards, Oro Mensah and he shook hands. Oro Mensah had to be like, yeah, I gotta hand it to you. You beat me in this match that made no sense. Good for you. We didn't
let the record show you brought up ZSJ and I did not in this instance.
No. When I watched the finish, I was like, I've seen Zack Sabre Jr. do that exact thing, but he did it at a pace that wasn't like, okay, I'm gonna put your here. It looked like he was playing. It looked like he was playing Twister with himself. Like, I'm gonna put your hand here and my leg there, and I'm gonna twist around and put the top of my head here. It was very odd.
It's tricky stuff. It's tricky. There's a reason one guy does it better than everybody else.
Yes,
and there's a reason he's your IWGP Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what, Alex?
What's that?
Brian Pillman, known for his weird facial hair and haircuts.
Mm-hmm.
And I know what's going on here, but I know some people have issues controlling what's going on down there and might need a little bit of help in the trimming situation. And darn it, if you're not cutting Chicago stars in there, but you want to maybe take care of some other stuff, Manscaped.com.
Nobody wants to see your hairy balls, so clean them up. Manscaped.com and the code FIGHTFUL is taking care of you. Maybe you're just looking at yourself and you're going, I'm too far gone, there's nothing I can do. Manscaped's got you covered. And you might say, but Sean, there's just so much, where do I begin? Manscaped.com and the code FIGHTFUL, that's where you begin. That's where you go. That's what you do to figure out all this. Body wash, body buffers, shampoo, beard oil, beard balm, beard trimmers, beard combs, and then stuff for your nether regions. Ear and nose hair trimmers. What don't they have at manscaped.com when you use that code FIGHTFUL? If you travel too much, you're like, I can't be bothered with that. They got the Go Bag as well. They got the Groin and Go Bundle. They have everything for you. Don't let yourself go by the wayside. Take control of yourself and your cleanliness. Go to manscaped.com. Use that code FIGHTFUL.
Yeah, no, nobody wants to see your hairy. Ryan Cicchini says, I thought Lexis looked okay. Deaf, gassed, long one. Yeah, and Jada Pringle says, well, I'm not going to. Jada Pringle casting aspersions about the look of Lexis King and how it might relate to substance abuse problems. But so, you know what? Now that Luis brings it up, yes, I have seen Brian Pillman Sr. win matches with that exact same O'Connor roll bridge. So maybe that is not a tribute to the new IWGP heavyweight champion, but instead a tribute to his father, a guy he does not want to be, but he won a match with that move.
There's such a cool story in there, and I thought that's what they were going to tell from the beginning. But if that's where they're going to go, well, if that's where they're going to go, I hope he learns to lock in the move better. But like the idea that he wants desperately not to be his dad but can't help it is a good one. There's a few things about that. One, you kind of already have a loose cannon character running around right now. It feels like you missed the boat on that. And two, I have not yet seen Brian Pillman's, or in this case, Lexis King's acting chops to be something to pull that off, because it's a very specific and sincere story that's hard to tell. Like that's tricky. So they would have to be really, really careful, and he would have to kind of outkick his coverage of what we've seen so far for it to click. But I've been waiting for that story. I would love that story. I think there's something really compelling about the guy who doesn't want to be in his father's shadow, but can't help but be like him. I think there's something cool there.
Yeah. So last night on a taped episode of Raw, Jakara Jackson punched Io Sky in the face, which cost Io Sky and Kairi Sane their title match versus Bianca and Jade. And so now they are calling them out and telling them to come to NXT next week. I wonder if Bianca and Jade will be far behind. So they're doing a tag match next week between Jakara and Lash versus the Sky Pirates versus Io and Kairi Sane. Ryan Cicchini says they seem to do mid-season call-ups. Side note, I think Lash and Jakara will be going up as well. And then he also mentions Ethan Page. We'll see what they do with Ethan Page coming off of his no doubt loss at Halloween Havoc. Oh, I spoiled the main event. Also, there's another tag match happening next week. So Vaquer and Julia are in the office with Ava and says, I think that's a great idea. You guys should face Roxanne and Cora next week. And in walk the Fatal Influencers, who are like, of course, they get whatever they want. We want a North American title shot, but you're not going to give that to us. Well, no, they have a reason to have their title match because they got jumped by Cora and Roxanne. You just want this thing, and maybe we'll talk about it. Actually, you know what? I'll give you your North American title shot if you can beat Julia and Vaquer next week. Before there is a tune-up for them before the thing. So, I think we all can hopefully see through time to Cora and Roxanne. Cora and Roxanne will cost Stephanie and Julia, and one of them will get pinned by either JC Jane or Fallon Henley next week. Because that just feels like a thing they would do. For like the Roxanne and Cora to like get an upper hand, and being pinned doesn't matter. But sure, let's have Julia take another pinfall. Let's give Stephanie Vaquer her first pinfall loss in a tag match that doesn't mean anything. Because if the only way that we're going to get Tiffany, keep doing this. Why do I always do this? Fallon Henley or JC Jane or both of them facing Kalani Jordan at Halloween Havoc is if they win the tag match next week. Guess what? They're winning the tag match next week, and we'll just have them interfere. And the other thing is that we're doing another tag match next week between the Meta Girls and the Sky Pirates, where Bianca and Jade will probably show up and that will probably have shenanigans in it. And we're just going to do 2 women's tag matches on the same show with probably a finish that's 85% identical.
Yeah. This is something that is noticeable and frustrating. I have less of a problem, but it's still annoying because you and I review so much wrestling. When NXT does the same thing Raw or SmackDown does. We talked about this in AEW too, that the Kyle Fletcher turn and the Wheeler Yuta turn happening on the same show felt like just such similar mapping, like that didn't really click. They're gonna do that basically on the same show, and it's doubling down on stuff that's also not my favorite way of going about things. So it's like, it's repetitious and I don't like it. So that's kind of a bummer. They need to make heads or tails company wide about what the women's tag titles are supposed to be. They've literally never had a clear vision for it. And I like that it's floating across all 3 brands now. But like, if you had told me 6 weeks ago that Jakara and Lash were likely getting called up, I would have been like, absolutely not. And now people are saying, yeah, they are, because they've had matches against megastars on the main roster. So the pushes need to, for me, I would prefer if the pushes led sensibly into something that felt like a consistent creative push.
Right.
That is not the case. And yeah, I don't understand why you're having your 2 big free agents take losses like right off the bat. That's weird. Right. Unless Delta's gonna come in and make it like a non-finish. No, she's coming in at Halloween Havoc. We know that. Yeah. Right.
She's debuting on and because she is debuting on Halloween Havoc, and because not only do I think this is the play they're gonna do, but I also think it's the play that I would like the most. Is that Kalani Jordan somehow beating both JC Jane and Fallon Henley, who can't decide which one of them is going to get the pinfall on Kalani, but somehow she survives and beats them both, even though they're both trying to beat her. Basically, it's a handicap match, but it's a triple threat.
Sure. If
she figures out a way to do that, and after she does, somehow survives that, Delta shows up
and wrecks her.
Or just says, I'm coming for your title next. And then we get a build to Delta being the one to take the title off of Kalani. And then you basically book Delta the way you booked Oba Femi as the champion. She's just, like a complete powerhouse. Nobody. She is the mountain that no woman can climb.
Yeah.
That's the way you book Delta. I think honestly, it really works. So because I think that's what they're doing, Kalani needs to have a title match at Halloween Havoc, and there's no reason for her to have they might only have one of them face her, but I think the big thing is like, look, I actually beat 2 women at the same time. I think I'm in the clear here. Nobody else can. Oh God, no, I'm gonna die. I think that's something that they should do.
They need to make these consistent losses mean something to the veteran ladies, because they're just making them look like chumps. If that's the direction they're going, it's actually pretty productive for Kalani, so that she has something to hang her hat on in this title reign of hers that probably will be ending soon, based on any of the 3 women that have come in. Mm-hmm. They've got to give Fatal Influence something here. It is. They are wasting really talented performers, and not in the way that we're like, because of these messed up finishes. I mean, they keep eating L's, and they're 2 people that should be closer to the main roster than pretty much anybody on the show outside of Roxanne.
Mm-hmm. Ryan Cicchini says that I think that Chelsea screws Lash in this tag match with the Sky Pirates next week, and then Chikara and Lash can go to SmackDown and get a win against her and Piper, and they are. Here's the thing that I think that is going to be a thing that will be hard for you to take, is by the time Noam is back and healthy, there will no longer be a meta anything. I think that it's very possible that Jakara and Lash will be. It does feel like they are grooming meta. the meta gals to be on the main roster. Now,
why would you say that?
I just think it's a very distinct possibility that the meta girls could be on the main roster by the time he's healed. You know,
that
That's all
hurts
I'm
my
saying.
that hurt my feelings.
If
If I wasn't riding high off of a Yankee win where they won 6-3, and a Zack Sabre Jr. title win, and a Steelers win, I would be devastated. But it turns out that the Steelers chose to have an offense this week, and Zack Sabre Jr. should do IWGP Heavyweight Champion, and the Yankees won 6-3, despite their offense mostly being off of wild pitches and errors from the other team.
Right. Yes. So Nikita Lyons and Zola Vice have their match that was set up for last week, and they do the Karate Gals version of the Ricochet and Will Ospreay opening.
Yes.
They're like I'm gonna kick you. I'm gonna duck. I'm gonna kick you. No, I'm gonna duck. Punch, punch, duck, duck. Aha! They did one of those, and they're like, oh, okay. I think it's the knee braces that just make like she was thick before with 2 C's, but Nikita now is like thick with 7 C's, maybe 12. It might be. It's definitely double-digit C's at the end of the thick.
Look.
on Nikita, and I think a lot of that is the fact that she's wearing those giant leg braces underneath the tights, which just makes her legs look like friggin' tree trunks.
Yes.
It was wow, man.
She used to be in the reverse bathing suit, but now she's Karate Iggy Azalea. I can't unsee that.
Karate Iggy Azalea.
Tape machines killed me with that. This wasn't the best, but it's also Nikita's first match in forever.
Yeah.
And even when she came back, she got injured so quickly after she came back that this is probably her like 3rd match in the past 2 years or something. So it wasn't the prettiest. Neither of them have like the prettiest style either. This wasn't meant to be pretty. But she is like noticeably in different shape than she was, which is all well and good. It's just she's gonna move probably a little differently than she used to. She's using the Vader bomb as the finisher, which I like better than the I do a split on your body to show you my butt.
She's got, although that was the only way they marketed her, and they marketed her as like the next big thing in wrestling before her first injury, was like, watch her do a giant split and put her butt in her opponent's face and then turn around and make eye contact with the camera. And they were like, all right, lady, everybody get out. You're waiting for the Instagrams. It's going to be.
Oh my
the
God, they
traps.
did. They said thirst traps, like as her character
Here
was
comes
thirst
the thirst trap.
right?
Oh, there we go. That was Wade Barrett. It was just like, so anyway.
I'm glad we've gotten away from that, sincerely.
Yes, me too. I love the idea because she's always had some heft to her.
Yeah,
but
always been.
But
like
now
again,
it's the leg braces make her look even bigger than she actually is. So that type of person doing backspin wheel kicks that high in the air is really interesting to me. Like
it's completely unique to her in NXT too, which is cool. That's really cool. So you can book her as some kind of weird hybrid of Karate Gal and Nia Jax. She can just run over smaller women, and hitting the Vader bomb is going to pin anybody. But like, also, I'll kick your block off too. Like, there's a cool way of agenting her matches different than everybody else. I don't know if that's going to continue, but if Delta becomes champion and runs through 4 people, and then all of a sudden runs into Nikita Lyons, and also Nikita Lyons has picked up 1 or 2 power submissions.
Yeah,
that would be so cool. Yeah, sign me up for that any day of the week. But you're right. She has a flavor that's completely unique to her right now, and they should take advantage of that. They really should.
Yeah.
And she also, God bless her, isn't in you, whatever, me. Like she's not WWE cadenced yet either. Like
no, not yet.
Let her stand out for reasons that are unique to her as a wrestler, not because of thirst traps and also being a bouncer and also being a singer.
Right. Well, I mean, the thing that's really great is that when you're away from the ring for that long, it can be easy to, like, just kind of get into the doldrums or whatever. But I'm really happy to see that she's been able to keep that same energy.
Keep that same energy.
Jada Parker
that was in a world of WrestleLicious vignettes, Alex.
Yeah.
That was she was a bouncer, dancer, singer, child of two hippies.
Yep.
My God. Incredible stuff, honestly.
Nikita Lyons only wins this because Jada Parker comes out.
Yes.
And costs Lola Vice. I guess the ref had his back turned because the refs are dumb. But they now call it the Hypnotic,
which I actually don't hate.
The name makes it. It would be so much better if it was a transitional move. If it was the thing that she did to set up her finisher, I would love it a million times more.
Sure.
I just don't think. Although now she's doing it to, like, your face, which I guess would be more like it would make your eyes water a little bit or whatever, as opposed to, like, bend over and put your head right here, and I'm gonna run my butt into the side of your head. I don't know. It didn't work. This looked more vicious. They're trying to. They will not give up on it. They've given it a fun name. Okay, cool. But she does.
It is also the name of a liquor that your 17-year-old high school classmates drink.
My cousin says he's gonna buy us a fifth of Hypnotic. But we have to give him $50, or he won't do it. She does that, rolls her back into the ring. That's how she loses, and then Lola staring daggers at Jada Parker afterwards. So we're gonna get that. Is that match on the undercard at Halloween Havoc? Is that a pre-show Halloween Havoc match?
Are they doing a two-parter, or are they doing?
No. It's a PLE. It's a PLE. It's not.
Oh, that's right.
It's not on Tuesdays.
You and I will not have. You and I will not have weekends of rest.
That's right.
That's right. I forgot it was a PLE and not a TV special this year.
Yeah. This is what we're doing.
That should be. I mean, those are two of their earmarked future stars, right? And they've at least. I haven't loved the way that the relationship has been built out, but it's been a priority on the show, even if it's the same playbook every time.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll probably doing the match on the NXT after the play. Les Louise, they might be doing it then. It could wind up on. That is one of those ones they might spin the wheel and make the deal for.
Yeah, I could see that.
I mean? They could. So backstage, Byron Saxton is weirdly interviewing Tatum Paxley about her coming after Wendy Chu like weeks ago. Was it last week? They said it was last week. It was her versus Sol Ruca last week, and I swear to God, I have no memory of a Sol Ruca versus Wendy Chu match happening last week. None, no memory of it all. No memory of speaking about it or watching it at all. But they said last week in St. Louis, Sol Ruca versus Wendy Chu, and Sol Ruca won because Tatum Paxley attacked Wendy Chu. And I don't remember that at all.
I was gonna say, I'm like,
it was on the pre-show. That's why it happened as like a level up taping or something. But they did it on the pre-show. It was a dark match. Wow, man. Okay, fine. That's why I was like, I swear to God, if something like that happened, I would remember it.
Sol Ruca and Wendy Chu, of course we would. Yeah.
Am I having gaps in my remembrance? Like, am I? Like, honestly, there was a thing. Like, I don't want to talk about it. I'm really happy now that that it turns out that I was not going crazy, but I was like, I'm going to have to get tested for early onset Alzheimer's if I completely forgot about a Sol Ruca versus Wendy Chu match that Tatum Paxley interfered to cause the end of. So thank God I didn't. Good.
Especially
fine.
because
Anyway.
that's like two very prominent talents too. That wasn't no offense to, but that was not like Carly Bright versus someone from Level Up. You know what I mean? So
no, the MD Jack-o'-lantern, do not play along and tell me the thing happened.
No.
Yes, again, also what was the match, a dark match, book the match on television. Well, they don't have time for that because they have a lot of commercials. But she's talking about how, like, I bet Wendy thought I would just forget about how she turned her back on me, pretended to be my friend, and then turned her back on me. But I didn't forget. I never forget. I just want to play with Wendy. And then in comes Jada Parker, who's like, "You, Byron Saxton, come talk to me. Do you see what I did to Lola? Well, I'm gonna do more of that or something." And then Tatum's like, "Hey, you're not allowed to be mean to me. Until you took I was playing with Byron and you stole him from me." I don't play at all, chick. And she leaves. And behind Tatum Paxley is Wendy Chu, and there's no way none of them saw her. She was so conspicuous. Like, unless she is invisible to everybody but the camera, everyone could see Wendy Chu standing there. So Jada versus Tater will be a match they do next week.
Tater next.
Tater next.
I live in Jersey too, so Jader is not like that far off from how things are pronounced here. No. Oh, Jada, we love Jada Parker. Yeah,
we love.
We've summoned her.
We love the Jada Parker.
We love the Jada Parker.
We love the Tatum Paxler. We love them all.
Oh, we love her. She's a little spooky though, that Tatum.
She's a little spooky. She's a sweet girl. But honestly, she's gone through a lot in her time, and so everybody grieves differently. She had the head of her favorite doll ripped off of her in front of her. That was very
weird with these dolls.
That would scar anybody. I mean, honestly.
There's something even better about it with your Oscar the Grouch shirt on.
Yeah, it's not good. I only wear that when I'm extra angry. So yeah, we're definitely going to get Jada versus Tater probably next week, where Wendy Chu ends up screwing it over for Tatum, and also Lola ends up screwing it over for Jada. That feels like kind of Shawn Michaels booking 101, doesn't it?
Yeah. So I just want fresh playbooks, man.
Nah. Backstage, there was one weird thing between Trick and Kalani. Or like, well, if it isn't Trick Williams, he says about himself in third person, and Kalani Jordan is like, yes, if it isn't us. It was just this weird.
Like, I don't register seeing that at all. Something probably happened during the ALCS.
So fast. But backstage, we get Javon and Cedric talking about like the Randy Orton match, and then up walk the Blurry Boys, who were like, "Wow, you guys, that was pretty amazing what you did with Randy. You hung in there and blah blah blah." And they're doing this thing back and forth, and then Wesley comes in and says mean things to Javon about how you're not ready to be NXT champion. And I'm going to prove that tonight. And then there's some like yelling back and forth. And I'm like, we don't have anything for the Blurry Boys for the play. And I feel like they should be on every play because their matches are always amazing.
Yeah.
So can we just figure out just make Javon and Cedric versus them? Like if nobody has to get a victory to get a tag team title match across the board, then if we're doing that, if we accept the fact that nobody has to have a string of victories or win a number one contender match to get a tag title shot, then give it to the guys who will have the best possible match with the current champions. Javon Evans and Cedric Alexander versus the Blurry Boys of Fraser and Axiom would be one of the greatest tag team title matches in NXT of the last 3 years.
You're right about that. It'll probably, the Good Brothers are just gonna wave at them
You
or
know
something.
what? You're right. Also, this is probably the plan. It's going to be West versus Javon in a singles match.
Yeah, what I was thinking.
But then who are the Blurry Boys facing? Because it can't be nobody.
They're facing the Clarity guys. I popped myself tremendously on that.
You did. Ridge Holland was able to defeat Riley Osborne with the Rampage, or whatever he calls it now. And then he was going to do some more extracurriculars and beat up Riley some more. And Andre Chase came back, and
you got so sad.
I just want this all to end. Just the fact that it cannot end until Andre Chase comes back and gives Ridge Holland his comeuppance, and just when it looks darkest for Andre Chase, then Riley and Ridge Holland is about to destroy Andre Chase. That's when Duke Hudson shows up and saves the match and hits Ridge Holland with a chair or something, and Andre Chase wins the match. And this cannot end until that final chapter is told. So let's get to that. Let's tell that chapter, and then let's tell no more chapters of the Chase U saga. Please, I don't want to see any more of that yet.
The diving DDT thing from the commentary desk to the floor was cool. It's been nice the past couple outings to get to see more of Riley, because he kind of came up in that breakout tournament and then was immediately thrown into this. We haven't seen a lot of in-ring. So
he looked very good in this.
He was the shooting star press guy for a while, and now he's more than that. Which is cool. I'm glad that we're getting to see more reps from him. Yeah, you know what's funny is, like, this part of the story got hot-shotted, but the storytelling since has actually been pretty properly paced, I feel like. So I'm glad about that. Andre Chase, of course, got a huge ovation coming back. But I just remain in the camp of, if I had Duke Hudson on my roster, I would simply choose to make $1 million with that guy. Like, he has the look, he has the moveset, he has the comedic chops, he has the sincere promo. He's kind of the male equivalent to me of what we've got. Stay with me on this, because it's not a one-to-one comparison. Of the Fallon Henleys and the JC Janes of the world, where I don't know what there's left to see in them from a developmental standpoint. Shit or get off the pot with calling them up. Duke's physicality is unreal, and when he's buried in MVP trophy guy stuff, that gets a little bit lost, but his timing's very good. I would simply choose to make a ton of money with him. I thought maybe they had their eyes opened a little bit when he had that match versus Oba Femi, because it was so great. And then we didn't really do a ton on the follow-up. So I just feel like he's nowhere near a mid-card title push, and he should be. Like, he's really, really good. So I hope they see what I see in him. But tonight was fine. Ridge has been better in this ring-wise, and getting to see Riley do more than shooting star presses and quick matches, like get to flex a little bit, has been a healthy thing for next steps for him. So I'll take it.
Yeah. Our main event. Oh, I want to talk about this real quick. The format of this show cannot continue as such. It cannot continue as such. Back from commercial, Delta vignette, which was nice. She punched the NXT sign at the top of a skyscraper in post-apocalyptic Australia so hard that the sign lit on fire. It was a really good vignette. As vignettes go, it was a really solid one. Okay.
Do you know how powerful I would feel if I could punch something and it would just light on fire? Hell yeah. Tell him, Delta.
So that ends, and we get Lexis King walking through the back, saying thanks to Mustachioed Charlie Dempsey for his idea to do the dumb pure rules match. And then he continues into the parking lot, and unfortunately nobody attacks him. He just says, "Oh, hey, Tony D, congrats on being a champion." And that's when Luca says to Tony D, I'm gonna fight Oba next week. Okay, so that little dovetail thing happens. Okay, then we get, next week we get back to the commentary desk. Next week we got this women's tag match, and also this nearly identical finish to a different women's tag match.
It's true. They told us in the narration it's almost identical. They flat out just said it.
Listen,
so
you know how I roll. Here we go. They do that. They basically tell you they have graphics for 2 matches on the card next week. Then we get Javon Evans entrance. Then we get Wesley entrance. Then we get back to commercial.
This was bad.
3.5 minutes of material between commercial breaks. This is also right before the big number 1 contenders triple threat main event. CW cannot think with the ALCS on and other stuff that people won't change the channel.
Yeah.
This is a really bad way of doing of showing your stuff on your show.
I know commercials. I know very little about TV production. The one thing I know is that overruns are the way you can get an extra 8 minutes on your show or whatever is by pushing the commercials into different spots than you normally would on a traditional show. Yeah. So I know that can mess with it, and moving networks, that could be something that they're still trying to figure out. But there's something extremely obvious of nothing has happened and we immediately are back in commercial break. It almost felt like on Saturday Night Live when they come back and they show you the set and then they just go back into commercial.
Or they're going to all right. Well, there was a challenge flag thrown in the football game, and now we're going to watch the refs determine whether or not the thing was. We're going to go to commercial, and you come back and they still haven't decided yet. Or they're now that we've decided what it is, now we got to find a spot for the ball where the infraction was. And then they go back to commercial again. That's no fun. I don't even there's
or something happens and then the 2-minute warning is right there. It's the worst. So yeah, the formatting is weird. And it's weird across WWE right now. And one show just went from 3 hours to 2 and one just switched networks, so I'm not surprised. But yeah, that was, I was very just, what?
Yeah. Okay, so the main event is very good. It gets a fight forever chant, which I feel like might be overshooting it a tad, but it is a very good triple threat match between these 3 guys.
It's just unrealistic, Alex. To fight forever. Fight eternally.
Yeah, no.
They're gonna have to, they need to hydrate.
Mm-hmm.
They need to rest their bodies.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have to head to catering at some point. They're going to want to see their families. I feel like fighting forever is asking a lot.
Yeah, no, you're right. But the crowd at the PC was not considering any of those things.
No, very selfish.
They simply wanted to see these 3 men fight forever. So,
selfish Floridians.
Yep.
Look, I know there's been a lot happening in the state right now, but I can't help but think it's a little selfish.
Javon Evans is otherworldly.
Unreal.
I don't think I've ever seen, and I don't think I've ever seen anybody just on a straight up springboard off the ropes at the top.
What the hell? Yeah.
That cutter he did. There's no reason to spin the way you did against Randy last week. Just do the cutter the way you did this one, where it was just he was so I thought he was going to leave the screen is how high he got on that cutter on Wesley.
Insane. Him and Montez Ford need to cross paths by the end of 2025. I need it.
Yeah. And the thing of it is I saw people well, he's got, why don't you have him win? And he's hugely over. He's amazing. He's 20 years old. He's not allowed to be the champion until he's 38. So he's got a long time. He's got a long time to wait.
Well, my thing is, this is kind of like what everyone was like, just strap up Willow against Mariah. Mm-hmm. I get the temptation of that, and I actually think it's kind of cool, because I feel like there are people that are watching that just genuinely are like, that guy rules. I want to see him do important stuff, or her do important stuff. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. But when you look at, like, the reality of it, like, Trick ain't going anywhere, and you want Javon Evans's trajectory to be handled with care. You don't want to hotshot him into big spots that are bigger than this. He should be hanging around at the top of the card. He's phenomenal.
Right.
But I it's kind of refreshing when we get moments in wrestling where people are like, no, that guy's awesome. I want to see him in a title match. Like, that's cool.
That's cool. That is cool.
But sometimes, like, you have to have a TV title run in 2023 that puts technical wrestling on a different map, and then you have to win the G1, and then you cash in ahead of Wrestle Kingdom to win the IWGP Heavyweight title.
Exactly. So. Yes. Yeah. Thank you. So he ends up taking the pinfall because Ethan Page snakes a pin to win. I thought of the three, the guy who was least likely to win this match was Ethan Page. I thought Wes Lee was a shoo-in, like a 90% chance for Wes Lee to win this match, and the other, like, I don't know, 9.5% was Javon Evans, just in case they wanted to do something spectacular in the Halloween Havoc main event. Why in God's name are we doing Ethan Page gets another title shot? Like, he had his first title match against him back in June, lost that. They had Javon Evans kick out of his finisher, and he lost that clean. And then he won it by falling asleep on another man in July. And then he lost it to Trick Williams because CM Punk called the match straight down the middle as a special guest referee. I feel like I've seen enough of Ethan Page versus Trick Williams at this point. And I haven't yet seen Wes Lee versus Trick Williams. This version of both guys. We watched it a lot a couple of years ago. Not this version of both guys. And I feel like that was the way to go, and we was not doing it.
So, match was really, really good. I wouldn't say fight forever, but I did enjoy watching this for a considerable length of time. I just I have longer term concerns than asking them to fight forever. But this was very, very good.
No.
The bookends of the show were strong. The middle was a big ol' mess. I felt like largely. But there were two things that occurred to me with the booking results of this. One, I felt like this was weird too. I thought Wes Lee having that blow off to move upward, because we had even said last week, like, he didn't fail upward. He won matches in a huge rivalry and then was going to go get this title shot. Mm-hmm. That would have made more sense. With the taunting of CM Punk as much as they've been doing it, do we think him and Oba Femi both just lose here and head up to the main roster? Like,
Trick. Yeah.
Well, Ethan Page, like, does Ethan Page lose here and head up to the main roster? Like, these are weird booking decisions, and with implications or consequences to booking that might have things that are different than just weird booking, like career trajectory things.
I feel like Ethan Page has done a fantastic job with the complete mishandling of him since he has been in NXT.
I agree.
And I would rather see them figure out a way to right the ship on that than bring him to the main roster where he doesn't have a whole lot to do other than lose a feud with CM Punk. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I don't want any of that.
In that case, I think they think this is how you build a rivalry, and I disagree with their approach. But I think they're like, okay, we have the Carmelo and Trick rivalry, and Trick's big rivalry is with Ethan Page, and they think this constant back and forth is how you build it. But to me, it just kind of clogs up the top of your card. This match at least had a definitive ending, which we have not gotten a lot of with Ethan Page. So Hopefully, there's a clear ending to what happens at Halloween Havoc.
He did not pin Javon Evans while asleep, so that is a big
Correct.
step.
He was fully. See, this is what happens. They say fight forever. These guys are falling asleep on the job. You can't have them fight forever.
That's true. No, it's
ridiculous.
True. We have some puns, and then we have some jukeboxes, and then we're going to get out of here. Lupangi Vice says, "Iko proba Femi."
Nope.
Ika proba. You gotta want it.
With somebody with the name Lupangi Vice, you know they're coming in hot with a pun like that. Like you just know. You just know.
Alpha Bill says, "Oh, loving this vacuum." And Jada Pringle says, "Kenny Omega-3 Bobby Fish Oil. It's a product."
Very nice. Very well done. Very
Insert clever Tegan Knox pun says, Tegan Knox slip footwear. Meet Norma says, "Tonight NXT brought to you by Paxil, Xanax, and NyQuil Pure Z's. Penta El Cerro Metamucil, Liberty Roads Mutual, Liberty, 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 Liberty. Burger King of the Ring."
Very nice.
C. Delgado says, Zack Sabre GT Jr., the Bad Apple iPhone 16, and of course, beef. It's what's for dinner.
Very nicely done.
Chi-Town Spurs says Kyle O'Reilly's Auto Parts. JD Pringle says the nation runs on Pete Duncan.
Meat Norma says Butch Donuts. Butch and Donuts. Worst.
No. Meat Norma says Brinley Reese's Pieces.
Very good.
Motel Wyatt 6 or Wyatt Motel 6.
Very good.
We'll turn the lights off for you. Or we'll turn them on, but they're going to be red. F450 built Montez Ford Tough.
Very good.
And love that chicken from PFC. Chris Pereira says De Beers, a diamond cutter is forever.
Very nicely done.
Louisville says maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's Mabel King.
That's a really good one.
That's a really good one. Chris Pereira says The Few, The Proud, The Marine, starring John Cena.
Very nice.
Paul Elizabeth says Chase U-Haul.
Very good, Dan.
JW Pringle says Dyson Kidded.
Oh, that's so good.
Meet Norma says PFC Bank, brilliantly boring since 2024. I don't know. So sad with them. Lieutenant Colonel Photo says, I have a structured settlement and I need Cash Wheeler now. Very
nice. Call JG Woodworth.
Don't you wanna El Phantasma? Insert clever Tegan Knox pun says, as seen on Tegan Knox. Chris Pereira says, if you or a loved one has been diagnosed with mesotheliomos, you may be entitled to a financial compensation.
Nice.
Louisville says, when you're here, you're family. Oba Femi. Chris Pereira says, a step ladder match. Yeah, that's
your family took me out. That's really good.
Chiluk Ma'am says, bet you can't yeet just one. Also, 1-800 Carls for kids. Machine Gun Anderson Cars for kids. Okay.
Was that Luis Polito?
No, it was Electric Mayhem. Meet Norma says, if you want to have a top flight, fly JetBlue Chew.
Very nice.
This is a good one from Lupangi Vice. Liv Morgan and Morgan.
That's so good.
Electric Mayhem says, Red Mordos gives you wings.
Very good.
In a match with ZSJ, your joints go snap, crackle, and pop.
It's true. IWGP World Heavyweight Champion ZSJ.
Instead of cha-cha-cha-chia, it's ra-ra-ra-ria.
That's
and
cute.
This is one of my. There's a serpentine coast.
Serpenticos.
I know, but serpentine. Serpentine Coast. Is there a Serpentine? I don't know. I'm not sure if I know that product. Like a Serpentine belt for your car? Okay, fine. But this is my favorite, I think, from Two Legged Mayhem. Pack on, pack off, pack on, pack off the clapper, the packer. There we go. And Chris Pereira says, Bud Guys.
Very good.
Yeah,
very, very good.
Very, very, very good. Okay, good. All right. We got some jukeboxes from last week. We're cutting it off now because I don't want to.
Yeah, we had overflow jukeboxes on the combined review.
So we're doing the juke from last week and 2 from this week, and they were good. Okay. This is also great from Proud Rubber Finisher. Might be the best of the night. Beast Mentos. He is the fresh maker.
Just the idea of Beast Mortos with a fresh goes better.
Okay, now I need somebody to actually film him doing the commercial.
Hell yeah.
Just him going through the whole thing. Okay, here we go. Meet Normus wants Steal My Sunshine by Len, recited by William Regal. There we go. I was lying on the grass of Sunday morning of last week, indulging in my self-defeat. My mind was thugged, all laced and bugged, all twisted, wrong and beat, comfortable 3 feet deep. Now, the fuzzy stare of not being there on a confusing morning week impaired my tribal lunar speak. And of course, you can't come if you fully say what you would have done, so I missed a million miles of fun. I know it's up for me if you steal my sunshine, making sure I'm not in too deep if you steal my sunshine. Sunshine. I'm keeping versed and on my feet if you steal my sunshine. Sunshine.
That's pretty great.
Man in the Mask, I miss you. Okay. Okay, you got sunshine. One. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so Paw Paw sings Mambo No. 5 from Orion Ben, and then you've got one also for Tiffany there as well. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Everybody in the car. So come on, let's ride to the liquor store around the corner. The boys say they want some gin and juice, but I really don't want a beer bust like I had last week. I must stay deep because talk is cheap. I like Angela, Pamela, Sandra, Rita, and as I continue, they're getting sweeter. So what can I do? I really beg you, my lord. To me, flirting is just like the sport. Anything fly is all good. Let me dump it. Please set in the trumpet. A little bit of Monica in my life. Little Erica by my side. A little bit of Rita's all I need. A little bit of Data's what I see. A little bit of Sandra in the sun. Little bit of Mary all night long. A little bit of Jessica. Here I am. A little bit of you makes me your man. What? And then Orion Ben wants Tiffany to sing Ain't Nobody by Chaka Khan.
I'm having a little bit of difficulty with the doc right now, so come back.
Oh, no. Okay. Well, all we got. Okay, fine. It was just basically. Well, Meet Normus asked what Linda and Sheila think about. He said Senior Clavicles, who could only be Alexis Cardoza, but
that was probably a combined review one last week, right?
Yes, this was this thing. So listen. If there's anything that I love on a man, it's a collarbone. It's just collarbone. Like you can keep your biceps. You can keep that little muscle at the bottom of the thigh where it meets the kneecap. You can keep all that. The V thing there that Brad Pitt had in Fight Club. You can keep it as long as they've got a collarbone. That's fine. As long as they've got skeletal structure that keeps their head upon their neck, upon their shoulders, then I am in. So I don't know about you, but that's me.
I think it's very underrated, and I think if there's anyone who knows, it's you, because I remember Clavicles on number 4 and number 7.
Yes. Specifically. Right. So I don't know. I mean, so So
Okay,
that's all I'm going to say. Okay, good. I'm glad you got it open then. So I'm going to go now. So Tiffany sings "Ain't Nobody."
Great to see you. Okay. Captured effortlessly. That's the way it was. Happened so naturally. I did not know it was love. The next thing I felt was you holding me close. What was I gonna do? I let myself go. And now we're flying through the stars. I hope this night will last forever. I've been waiting for you. It's been so long. I knew just what I would do when I heard your song. Filled my heart with your bliss, gave me freedom. You know I could not resist. I needed someone. And now we're flying through the stars. I hope this night will last forever. Toodles!
That's great. You have these the Nya girls. I think. Yeah. I think we should call her Kate Kardashian because I feel like it works because it's also the KK works and it's you, but as a Kardashian. So
I literally can't believe you think it sounds like a Kardashian. Why would you even say that? Girls don't need men. Barbie don't need Ken. Us girls are literally doing fine on our own. So if you're a man, literally leave us alone. Getting girls rich, yes. That's part of my plan. I could name 10 things us girls need before we ever even need a man. 1 new vape, 2 lines of Coke, free drinks from the bar, 4 more lines of Coke, controversial, 5 guys fries, 6 hits of my blunt, 7 more lines of Coke. We do literally so much Coke. 8 pairs of shoes, 9 BB belts, and 10 drunk cigarettes. But I don't do that because everything I have is organic.
Oh, that's great.
I need organic everything.
Yeah. That was 10 drunk cigarettes requested by somebody from last week. But I was going to keep the Kate Kardashian going with Lieutenant Colonel Photo asking her to sing the Cars for Kids lyrics.
1877 Cars for Kids. KARS, Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. Also on the web at carsforkids.com. That's cars with a K, like Kate. Call 1-800-CARS-FOR-KIDS. Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I have a gift.
Yeah,
it's a very limited and specific gift.
But it's a gift.
But I have a gift.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's me. I'm here.
Oh my gosh, Dusty.
Normus has sent in a chat asking for me to do the Chili's Baby Back Rib song for Raquel.
That's perfect.
So here we go. Let me see if I can call this up on my. Here we go. I want my baby back, baby back, baby back. I want my baby back, baby back, baby back. I want my baby back, baby. I want my baby back, baby back ribs. I want my baby back, baby back, baby back. I want my baby back, baby back, baby back. I want my baby back, baby back, baby back. I want my baby back. Chili's baby back ribs. Chili's baby back ribs barbecue sauce.
That was beautiful, Dusty.
Listen, it's so nice to have my baby's back.
Of course.
With the Raquel who's brought her back. So this is nice. This is wonderful. So good.
Dusty, before you go, because we actually do have a little bit of time here.
A little bit, yes, indeed.
Any killer Halloween costumes you're hearing about in Wrestler Heaven? Any wrestlers going as any fun?
Well, the
things?
fun thing that we do on Halloween is that we will dress up as each other. So that is fun. Sometimes we'll dress up as people who haven't gotten here yet. So it is kind of fun. Be like, like this will be fun. Eventually, he's gonna die, and then he'll show up here. So last year, Macho Man Randy Savage went as Hacksaw Jim Duggan. It was just basically he walked around with a 2x4 over his shoulder. We were all kidding him because it was like, honestly, what kind of a costume is that? You walk down to the you can't actually go shopping at Home Depot here because Lowe's is the official hardware store of Wrestler Heaven. So that's all we have up here is Lowe's. So yeah. So
you have to pay for stuff in Wrestler Heaven? That sounds
everything is comped, but Lowe's did get the official exclusive sponsorship deal with Wrestler Heaven with Lowe's. There was a bidding war for a while but we thought it used to be Home Depot, but then they lost out on the contract, so now it is Lowe's.
Got it. That makes sense.
All right. Well, I gotta go. Actually, speak of the devil, I gotta go finish the stitching on my costume.
Who are you gonna be?
Well, I thought that I was gonna be Ric Flair again, but screw that guy. So I'm gonna be Adrian the Adonis, who's basically the same guy with the robes and everything. So
sure.
It's so fun. Everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, are you Rick again?" No, I'm Adrian the Adonis, and then Adrian's gonna be like, "You are me. I knew it." It'll be fun. Okay. Anyway, I'll see you later. Bye.
All right. You should look into being Buddy Landell if you want. Oh.
Hello.
Hi, Ricky Rainbow.
It's good to be Ricky Rainbow. Orion Ben requested Ricky Rainbow to sing ADIDAS by Korn, which of course spells Adidas, but actually it is an acronym for All Day I Dream About Slugs, because this person likes to garden and then also is very much not liking how there are slugs in the garden who eat the leaves of all the flowers.
That's a pain. It's a pain. Ugh, the worst. Do you have a garden, Ricky?
Well, no, I have a gardener. I just keep him on retainer in case I ever have a garden.
That's fair. Raw might start soon filming segments in your garden, so I just wanted to.
Right. No, it's possible. Oh, here we go. Boning, I see. Somehow it always seems that I'm dreaming of something I can never be. It doesn't matter to me, because I'll always be that pimp that I see in all of my fantasies. I don't know your fucking name. So what? Screwing might be the only way that I can truly be free from my fucked up reality. So I dream and stroke it harder, because it's so fun to see my face staring back at me. I don't know your fucking name. So what? And you know the fuck. And that's it. So all day I dream about sex. All day I'll dream about sex. All day I'll dream about sex. All day. Oh no. Is she dreams about sex? I was told it was about slugs.
I feel deceived. And I
somebody
feel like
told me it was actually that it was all day. Yeah.
Shame.
All day I'll dream about. No, apparently not. Apparently not. Right. Lieutenant Photo says Guar. This is good, but this is going to take too long. Oh, no, it's not. It'll be fine. Hold on. I'm going to...
I saw Guar live several times in college.
Mm-hmm. Right. Oh, hold on. This is wonderful. This is something that is needed for the stream, and we will bring it up onto... Wait. Everyone must wait. Fill the dead air, Kate.
I'm sorry, I will vamp, but I think I know what you're doing. At first, I didn't know. But there's something very special, very SGS specific, very this stream specific coming our way. But Ricky, thank you so much for your performance.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was all about slugs too.
I thought it was all about, at least snails.
Sure.
Perhaps somebody's a very big fan of the escargot.
It's true. Hey, do you have any Halloween outfits planned? You going as anything fun?
I am going as Rainbow Bright like I do every year.
Oh,
because then I don't have to change my hair.
That is fair. That is a fair point. Respect. I respect that.
All right. Well, hold on. What are we doing? There we go.
All I know is that fresh goes better. That's all I know.
Do you know the fresh goes better with Mentos fresh and full of raw?
The fresh maker?
What is going on?
Fresh goes better.
Mentos.
Fresh and full of guan.
This fresh mugger.
The fresh maker.
So, something that I've heard through the grapevine is that on Friday at noon Eastern time, that Alex and Kate will be reviewing the movie See No Evil starring Mayor Kane. But Alex will be the only one reviewing it. And
yes, I cannot watch scary movies.
And Kate cannot watch scary movies, so that Alex will be reviewing the movie See No Evil on Fightful Select, and he has to do it inside of 60 minutes or he loses. I don't know what the consequences are, but he loses the game if he cannot tell Kate all about See No Evil inside of 60 minutes.
Because we also have to do Hear No Evil, right? Or is
No,
it See No Evil 2?
They should have called it Hear No Evil, but they just called it See No Evil 2, which will be the next time we do one of these.
So subscribe to FightfulSelect.com because you're not going to want to miss that.
No, you won't want to miss that.
Ricky, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but are you a Fightful Select subscriber?
Yeah, I subscribe at the $10,000 a month tier.
Oh, we appreciate that. Best $10,000 in the biz, as we like to say around here.
I clicked the wrong thing when I signed up, and I'm too lazy to go back in and change it.
Plus the conversion rate, it's like a whole thing.
Right. All right, well,
Zack Sabre Jr. is our IWGP Heavyweight Champion. Do you have any thoughts on that?
No, I just...
he won it in England, or he's bringing it back to England.
Good for him, I suppose. I do like Zack Sabre Jr., but, he could be a bit much. We've always like, everything's bollocks. Everything's bollocks. I'm a dickhead,
wrong?
you're a dickhead.
Is
bollocks,
he wrong?
Bollocks. I mean, honestly, I feel like it's a bit, doing a bit is a little, kind of narcissistic to put everybody, to make them watch you do a bit like that over and over and over again.
Yeah, we don't really tolerate that.
No one
here.
would ever do that.
No, we wouldn't. We don't really endorse that kind of behavior.
We don't do that kind of thing. So that's what I'll say. Keep cool, gabagoos.
Everything's great.